Finland are both Arctic nations, as of course Canada is. And my goal throughout this trip is to make sure that we have strong economic partnership with these two countries. As Canada is, of course, seeking to diversify its economy, the goal is to be closer to the EU. And in the context of the EU, two countries that we know we can do more business with and that we can also continue to develop strong partnerships is definitely Sweden and Finland. It is important to remind ourselves that when Finland and Sweden decided to join NATO at the time, Canada was the first to ratify their accession to NATO. It was based on the fact that it was in our interest to have more Arctic countries part of the alliance, but also we knew that there were strong diplomatic and also economic ties with these two countries. In the context of my visit, I met in Sweden the Prime Minister. I had breakfast with him this morning, also with the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of the Economy, Ebba Busch, with the Minister of Defense. And I also met with key business leaders, maybe the CEO of Saab, of AstraZeneca, of ABB, and Ericsson. And we already know that there are lots of very important Swedish companies that are doing business across Canada. The other reason why I'm also in Finland, and I've been in contact with the Prime Minister of Finland, and I'll be meeting also with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of the Economy, is because Davy Shipyard from Lévis, Quebec, has acquired Helsinki Shipyard. And it is the first time that a Canadian shipyard in recent history has bought a foreign shipyard and will be able not only to benefit from the work that has been done through the National Shipbuilding Strategy, but also will be able to export key icebreakers across the world. And this is done in the context also of the ice pact that was signed between Finland, Canada, and the US. And we think that we can definitely do more work with Finland. I'll be also meeting the CEOs of Nokia and key business leaders of ABB and Petri. So all this in the context of building much more a stronger economy. We have the vision of having the strongest economy of the G7. This is the mandate that the Prime Minister has given me to make sure that that's the case. And we have to do so through economic diplomacy. And that is why coming to Europe, coming to Sweden and Finland was a key priority for me in the context of my mandate as Industry Minister. Donc, ça me fait plaisir de répondre à vos questions. J'arrive tout juste de la Suède et de la Finlande. J'ai rencontré 10 dirigeants politiques en Finlande et en Suède, dont le Premier ministre, également aussi des PDG importants, que ce soit de différentes compagnies comme Saab, ABB, AstraZeneca et Ericsson. Ici en Finlande, je suis en communication avec le Premier ministre. Je vais rencontrer le ministre des Affaires étrangères, le ministre de l'Économie et aussi le ministre de la Défense. Et j'aurai l'occasion de rencontrer des PDG de compagnies comme Nokia ou aussi des compagnies comme Petri et également ABB. J'ai participé au lancement du Polar Max, donc du nouveau brise-glace qui est construit ici à partir d'Helsinki par notre chantier naval de la Lévis, dont on peut être extrêmement fier. Et ça va me faire plaisir maintenant de répondre à vos questions.
Thank you, Minister. As usual, one question, one follow-up. Please note the Minister has to leave at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Comme à l'habitude, une question de suivi. À noter que la ministre doit quitter à 11h heure de l'Est. Abigail Biman, please go ahead.
Hi, Minister Joly. Thanks for taking our questions. Hi. Why hasn't the government announced supports for the canola industry? Are you not opening yourself up to criticism from the likes of Premier Mo and others that you're choosing EVs over canola?
I think that this is not a choice between one or the other. The question is, we will be there to support our canola industry. We will be there to support our farmers. And I know that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture have been working together to address this issue.
Do you believe that it's still a good idea to go all in on EVs? And what evidence do you have that all of the Canadian taxpayer money that's been handed over to corporations or will be is working?
So when you look at what's going on internationally, we know that the auto sector is going through a very important change, and there's lots of electric vehicles that are being built internationally. So we know that we need to help our industry innovate. Now, we know that the auto sector is right now bearing the brunt of the tariffs from the US administration. We will be there to support the auto sector. I've been in contact with all the Canadian CEOs of all the different plants across the country. We will be there to support the workers. I've been in contact also with many of their union leaders, and we will be there to make sure that they can continue to innovate while they're in a very stressful business environment. And so we know that we can help them continue to invest, and we won't let the sector down. So I'm very pragmatic. I know that we have investments on the electric vehicle side, and meanwhile, we're dealing with trade tensions, and we know that we can address these two issues together.
Prochaine question, Boris Proulx, la parole est à vous.
Oui.
Oui, bonjour, Madame la Ministre.
Allô, Boris.
Vous n'avez pas mentionné Nordvolt alors que vous étiez en Suède. Est-ce que ça a été abordé comme question? Est-ce que vous avez des nouvelles informations sur le possible rachat de l'usine, des opérations au Québec?
Oui, nous avons parlé, la vice-première ministre et ministre de l'Économie, Baba chez moi, de Nordvolt. Bien entendu, c'est une situation qui est très, qui est très désolante. Parce qu'il s'agit de la plus grande faillite de l'histoire de la Suède. Ceci dit, le Canada n'a pas investi en soi comme gouvernement. Nous n'avons pas investi en soi dans Nordvolt. Et notre financement était lié à la production de batteries. Et puisqu'il n'y a pas eu de production, il n'y a pas eu d'argent fédéral dépensé. Alors, du reste, ce sera au gouvernement du Québec de voir qu'est-ce qu'ils font. Et nous, on va être prêts à faciliter les discussions entre la compagnie, le gouvernement suédois et le gouvernement du Québec.
Vous avez aussi mentionné l'entreprise Saab qui produit des avions de chasse. Est-ce qu'il a été question de laisser tomber les contrats américains de F-35 et d'aller vers d'autres fournisseurs internationaux?
Mais en fait, je suis allée visiter l'usine de Saab en Suède qui produit notamment le Global Eye, qui est un avion de surveillance qui est développé entre Bombardier et Saab, et aussi visiter les avions de chasse Gripen E. Mon boulot comme ministre de l'Industrie, c'est de pouvoir voir quelles sont les options, quels peuvent être les bénéfices économiques, mais du reste, la décision va être prise définitivement en ayant en tête comment on peut protéger notre souveraineté canadienne, comment on peut bien soutenir nos hommes et nos femmes qui font partie des Forces armées canadiennes. Le ministre de la Défense, David McGuinty, est en charge de l'étude qui a lieu présentement et je vais lui laisser le leadership sur cette question-là. Entre-temps, je suis en contact avec lui et en contact avec le premier ministre et nous aurons de bonnes conversations sur cette question-là.
Next question, Mike Blanchfield, please go ahead.
I can't hear you, Mike. You're on mute, maybe.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thanks, Minister. On Saab, given that you had your procurement cabinet colleague with you, what did you learn about its ability to serve Canada's needs, and what message are you sending to the United States by paying a visit like this and under these circumstances?
So I think when it comes to our defense budget, we know that we'll get to 3.5% of our GDP. Canada is the 9th biggest economy, and when you think about 3.5% of GDP. It's an enormous amount of investments in our Canadian armed forces, in our brave men and women supporting the defense of our sovereignty and our leadership around the world. But at the same time, we'll be able to invest in our industrial capacity. And that's why I'm working on a new defense industrial strategy in concert with my colleague, the Minister of Defense. Now, to go specifically to your question on F-35s and Saab, etc., there is a study right now that is being done by the Defense Department. It is being led by the Minister of Defense. My job in the context of this decision is to look at options and to understand what could be the different economic benefits. I've had the chance at the Paris Air Show back in June to meet with Saab for the first time and to meet with Lockheed Martin as well. I wanted to make sure that we could understand what was being proposed by Saab, by going to their facility in Sweden, and also having the Secretary of State, Stephen Fuhr, with me. And we will be able also to meet with Lockheed Martin and do a similar operation later in the coming weeks. And it is just normal in the context of my mandate to be able to do so. So that's why also I went to Sweden and had conversations with the Swedish government.
In terms of your review or your other sectors that you talked about, visiting various telecom companies, high-tech sectors, and AstraZeneca, where do you see the biggest levels of boosting, Finnish and Swedish investment in Canada?
Yeah.
Moving forward,
So,
what are the targets, and especially pharma, given what we're hearing about what's going on in the United States regarding vaccine use, et cetera?
So a couple of things, Mike, and accept that the fact I could just add to what I just said. I think that ultimately the decision that the government will be taken, and of course the Prime Minister will be taking regarding our aerospace sector and the defense of our country will be a fundamental act of sovereignty. And that is why we need to make sure we take the right decision, and we need to make sure that we have the right tools. And I think that many countries around the world are making sure that they're investing in their industrial base. And that's why when we talk to any country, any company, we want to make sure that these companies also invest in Canada. And that's why we have a policy of investments in Canada through defense procurement. Now, when you look at the conversations we've had with the different Swedish companies, and that I will be having also with the different Finnish companies, Ericsson is already in Canada and has been investing and has invested recently even more, but I think they could do even more. ABB just announced at the beginning of this month $100 million more of investments in Montreal. Ericsson being in Montreal and Toronto as well. We're definitely looking at increasing the investments of AstraZeneca, which I think is good news for the health sector, and being able to continue to be a strong hub as Toronto is for AstraZeneca. And also, we are having conversations, like I was saying, with Saab. When it comes to Finland, it is much more on the shipyard side. And I was just mentioning that good news is the Davie shipyard will now be able to have to continue its expansion with shipyard in Helsinki. They bought shipyards also in Texas. This is good news. It's showing the maturity of the companies that are part of our national shipbuilding strategy. So it means that our industrial policy of national shipbuilding is bearing fruit. So it's not only supporting more than 20,000 jobs in the country, but also it is creating a possibility to have other countries buying our great icebreakers and, our different types of ships that we're building for the right now for the armed forces, but that we could build for other navies around the world. And also we're looking at trying to have more investments on the tech side, particularly by Nokia. So that's what we're looking at.
Prochaine question, Juliane Lapointe, la parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour. J'aimerais peut-être,
Allô, Juliane.
j'essaie de voir, est-ce que vous êtes capable de nous donner un peu comme un bilan on en est où avec les négos avec les États-Unis pour les tarifs douaniers? Depuis le 1er août, est-ce qu'il y a eu des rencontres? Est-ce qu'il y a eu des entretiens au téléphone, des visites à Washington? Est-ce qu'il y a un peu de progrès à ce niveau-là?
Ben ça, c'est une question qui devrait être répondue par le ministre Leblanc, qui est en charge de la relation au niveau de la relation avec les Américains. Je pense que plusieurs d'entre nous continuons d'avoir des conversations avec plusieurs contacts au niveau américain. Je suis en conversation avec des sénateurs américains encore souvent. C'est normal que tous les ministres du cabinet, le premier ministre puissent être engagés sur cette question-là. Mais ce que je vous dirais, c'est que moi, de mon côté, ce que je fais présentement, c'est vraiment être capable de travailler sur une stratégie de la défense au niveau industriel pour créer des opportunités et d'être capable aussi d'amener nos compagnies canadiennes à diminuer leur dépendance aux États-Unis et créer des liens davantage avec l'Europe. Donc, je me suis engagée dans cette nouvelle diplomatie économique-là qui est très, qui est très spécifique à notre nouveau gouvernement, qui est le gouvernement Carney, et qui fait partie de notre approche pour être le pays qui a la plus forte économie du G7.
D'accord. Puis, à la suite de l'élection partielle, Pierre Poilievre va être de retour au Parlement. Est-ce que lui, il a dit dans son discours qu'il est prêt à travailler avec les partis? Est-ce que vous le croyez?
Ben, écoutez, je pense que lorsqu'on pense à Pierre Poilievre, ses électeurs qui lui ont fait confiance pendant 20 ans ont vu c'était quoi d'avoir Pierre Poilievre comme représentant et ont décidé de lui montrer la porte. Il n'avait d'autre choix que d'aller dans une circonscription qui était un château fort conservateur pour se faire élire. Ça démontre à quel point il était inquiet par rapport à son sort politique. Maintenant, on se reverra à la Chambre des communes et je suis convaincue qu'il va pouvoir démontrer à quel point il est incapable de soutenir les emplois au Canada et d'avoir de la vision économique dans un monde qui est de plus en plus dangereux.
We have time for one last question. Carl Dugan, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Kyle.
All right, sorry, thank you. You had mentioned the defense industrial strategy. Could you just give us a sense of the timeline on when that is likely to come out?
So, Kyle, there's a short-term approach, there's a middle-term approach, and there's a longer-term approach. So, when it comes to working on a defense industrial strategy, I'm working with the Minister of Defense and, of course, working with the Secretary of State for Defense Procurement on this, and that's why Stephen Fuhr is with me in Sweden and Finland. We will be coming up in the coming months with a new strategy, but short term, what we're doing is we've just given the BDC a mandate to make sure that they can start supporting companies that want to invest in defense. We are giving the mandate to the National Research Council to make sure that our researchers across the country can also do dual use research, so civil and military, which I think is really important. So we'll be working with universities on that. We will be working with the Canadian Space Agency to make sure that its mandate is broader than only space exploration, but really working much more on the defense as well, defense side as well. And we will be also working to make sure that we have a very strong quantum strategy on the defense side. That's short term. Middle term, of course, the budget will be there, and we will be able to do more through the budget. And we're also working on key transactions right now to make sure that we can create more jobs through defense procurement across the country. And finally, middle and longer term will be the defense strategy. But the work has already been starting, Kyle. So I don't think we should be just waiting for the strategy. We're taking decisions and making early moves.
Thank you. And with respect to your conversations with Saab, can you just give us a sense of whether the gripings came up and to the extent that they did?
So indeed, I went to Sweden with the Secretary of State for Defense Procurement. We did visit the Saab facility. We visited the Global Eye, which is a partnership between Bombardier and Saab for surveillance plane. And we also visited the Gripen E. This was in the context of conversations that started at the Paris Air Show, where I met with Saab at the time, and I also met with Lockheed Martin. We will be also engaging with Lockheed Martin in the coming weeks. And meanwhile, as mentioned, the study regarding this contract is continuing the process is underway. The Minister of Defense is working on this. And my job in the context of this study is to make sure that the Canadian government has options and can see what are the industrial benefits of this decision. But fundamentally, the decision will be, first and foremost, to protect our sovereignty, to make sure that our Canadian armed forces have the right equipment, and of course, it will be to create jobs.
Thank you. I believe that's all the time the Minister has for this press conference.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Merci, c'est tout le temps que la
Merci tout le
ministre
monde.
avait pour
Au
cette
revoir.
conférence de presse. Ceci met fin à la